allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boy, I might be up a long time. I wish he coached me. Yeah. He walked away from me.
Mrs. Braunlich? Here. Mr. Camello? Here. Mrs. Coder is absent. Ms. Heffley?
Here.
Mr. Helbling? Here. Mr. Scisciani? Mrs. Viscusi?
Here.
Mr. Viscusi? Here. Mrs. Woshner?
Here.
Mayor Doscher?
Here.
Solicitor McDermot?
Here.
Okay, are there any visitors who wish to speak? If you could step up to the podium, state your name and address, and write on the register. You have 5 minutes at this point in the meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, you will have 2 minutes. Are there any visitors who wish to speak?
It's been so long since we've seen each other. So I was a little bit out of the loop for a couple weeks, and I had heard that there had been a suggestion for a code of ethics signing for the borough. I wasn't sure if that was something that would come through a PA code of ethics, a county code of ethics, a city code of ethics, and was wondering what the status was on something like that with you guys.
Okay, there was a sample code of ethics given to us at the finance meeting. However, we are governed by a code of ethics with the state of Pennsylvania already.
So everyone has signed it already?
We are mandated to adhere to the code of ethics by the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Do you know where I can find it?
It is on the website. Would that be through the state of Pennsylvania?
If you Google the State Ethics Commission, I'm sure.
So it's just one big one for the whole.
It's state law.
It's just covers it. Okay. Thank you.
Any other visitors who wish to speak? Okay, thank you for coming this evening. Review of the prior minutes. Are there any questions or concerns of the minutes? None. There is one. Does anyone remember on the excessive police calls who seconded it? We had a motion by Jane Braunlich, and it was seconded, and for some reason the person taking the minutes didn't know who did the second. Can anybody own up to that? Who did the second?
We're clean now.
Yeah, I think it was me. Doug, can you correct the minutes?
So noted.
Okay. I think that was the only one that I saw in there. There was another one. To advertise for the part-time firefighter position for public safety. Is this in, let me see whose minutes this was. This was an actual council meeting. So for public safety, to advertise for part-time firefighter, does anyone remember who seconded that particular motion? You made the motion. Who seconded it? Mike. Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, we can correct that. Okay, I think that was the only 2 that I saw. Okay. No other questions or concerns concerning the minutes? Committee chair reports. Our finance our chair of the finance committee, Viscusi.
We have one for streetscape, which was I moved to approve payment number 5 to civil and environmental consultants Inc. in the amount of $5,100 for the Bellevue streetscape design project.
Any questions for our chair of finance on that? I have a question. Because we still don't have the actual final design, how much is left for us to pay to that firm?
It was a $40,000 contract. We're still, I think we're halfway. I think it's still $20,000.
And any other questions for our chair of finance? Okay, thank you, Sue, appreciate it. we want to do that now, or do we want to do it after the meeting?
We'll be opening the RFPs for the auditor and solicitor, and we'll distribute the council after the meeting.
I think that's good, thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee Chair, Jim Scisciani. There's nothing, any questions for our Chair of Parks and Recreation?
I was just wondering if we would receive a year-end report of the whole allocated money and that sort of thing.
Actually, in the process of putting that together.
And any other questions concerning funds? Okay, thank you, Jim. Public Safety, Jim Viscusi, our Chair of Public Safety. Nothing? Okay, any questions for Public Safety? Can I bring up something? I've had some concerns concerning the police visiting the Skate Plaza. Can you bring that up at the next meeting, so maybe there's some sort of schedule? Yes, because we've had some complaints.
For the council meeting or the committee meeting?
Committee. We can also bring it up to council, but I think the committee is the proper place for it. And I can get with you as to what that is to me. Okay, no other comments or concerns for public safety?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say that as the mayor. You wanted to discuss it.
Well, I mean, if you, is there something? that you-
No.
Okay.
You didn't want to.
Thank you, Jim. Public Works, our Chair of Public Works, Jane Braunlich.
There will be two motions. One will be the approval of payment number one to Insight Pipe for $29,800.22. And Doug just came to me tonight about a situation. And I think
The sewer line that runs along Spruce Run, our CCTV contractors have televised this line. They have gone as far as they can, and there's no accessible manholes that are all buried. We went in with our backhoe, dug the area where it was located at, and our boom on the backhoe does not reach far enough. We are going to have to rent a bigger excavator, much like the one we had on Bellevue, it costs $1,500 in order to expose that very manhole, raise it so we can have access to the line.
so I'm requesting that for tonight.
Come out of the sanitary sewer budget.
Exactly.
It's Spruce Run. It actually goes through Avalon and then Avalon down to
And will that be voted on in council
Tonight.
tonight?
Whatever's good.
And this does qualify as an emergency.
Okay, do you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to take $1,500 out of the sanitary sewer fund to make the backup.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to take $1,500 out of the sanitary sewer fund for a larger backhoe. Discussion on that motion? No discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown? Mr. Camello? Ms. Heffley? Mr. Helbling? Mr. Scisciani? Mrs. Viscusi? Mr. Viscusi? And Mrs. Woshner?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Any other questions or concerns for Jane concerning that motion? On the Insight Pipe contract? Okay, there's one here, the inside, it's right, it's on my agenda for $29,000. The only thing is, it has for action on 10/9/2012. Is this an old one, or is this a typographical error?
Typographical error.
Okay, so.
It'll be on for our next meeting.
Okay, so this is for 11/13/2012. Okay, no discussion, questions, anything? Thank you, Jane. Any special committee reports? No committee reports, no bids tonight. There are no resolutions and ordinances. We have concerning the Bayne Park rules and regulations. And we will have a second reading on November 13th. Any questions or concerns about that? then we have one concerning parking enforcement for the lots. Free parking for all borough lots on Saturday and Sunday, and all metered parking throughout the borough on holidays. Any questions or concerns about that, Jim?
I have a question. The new facility going in for weddings and banquets, they're going to be using a lot of parking. Are we going to be able to compensate for that?
That's a very good
The
question.
strangers come in, they may even illegally park, they might not intend to, but it could happen, you know, on the internet.
You have a question?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, I mean, it's a very good point.
Maybe public safety could look into something like that.
Could public safety discuss that? That's a very good point.
And the other thing I was going to say was, probably most of that parking they would take up would be probably late afternoon or evening, you know, people have.
Well, you don't know what hours that.
Right, no, so we'll find out,
The type of facility.
Yeah.
It could be business lunches and meetings and
Breakfast
everything like
on
that.
Saturday. It may be one of the holidays, we don't know.
Very insightful, thank you. George? Or, okay, sorry.
On the ordinance itself, what was the reaction, either cost-wise or percentage-wise, in increasing business, or the businesses that were polled, what they see with the free parking trial?
Or the businesses talk to or concern them? Did you talk to the businesses
Yeah.
about that? What did they say?
Yeah, I went to, well, I talked to 16 of them, and in general, some, they wanted a couple more hours or less hours, but the average was that what I had presented to them, they were all in agreement, actually. I have the names of the businesses and who I spoke to, and they thought it was a good idea, very good idea.
I'm sure it probably is a good idea, but we get quantitative increase in business that they experience. I mean, saying it's a good idea, it probably is. I'm just saying, did we see a marked increase in business? Because I know a lot of times when we do it for the holiday, our intention is to boost the business. So I would think the intention of this would be to boost business, you know, to help our downtown area. Were they able to give you, like, we saw a 2% increase, a 1% increase, you know, a 5% increase in their business? I mean, other than just saying, yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, there was a couple of them that they close early, maybe 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Usually towards closing, businesses will slow down a little bit. When they see this extended parking, that may help them, and that'll attract more people, and we'll have,
We can extend the parking. It's the same hours.
I mean, the free parking.
Okay. Do we have any idea what the financial impact on the borough is?
What?
The financial impact on the borough by not having the meters pending during that time?
Well, they wouldn't,
And then, I don't know, I'm just asking questions.
they wouldn't know.
No, do we know? I mean, that's our job.
Doug, was that done at all? Did we look at a cost analysis?
Cindy Phelps, I know the chief had instructed her to look at what the lost revenue was during those months, or during that month.
Okay, can she have that for us at the council meeting?
Yeah, because if it's negligible, then it's not a big issue. If it's bigger enough, then I think, you need to balance that against what exactly did the businesses see as an increase, or is it just their opinion that they think they saw it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think they do things quantitatively, just like we do with contracts, instead of we spend money. That's all.
The only thing, in my opinion, I mean, you don't walk into a business and say, okay, what was your increase in business? I mean, you have to tell them ahead of time so they're able to make that analysis. They look at their prior year
I would
income.
to do that. Because, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying, looking at measurable effect. We told the business we were going to have free parking, we announced it to the public. Walking in and saying, or giving a letter ahead of time saying, hey, you kind of give us a measurable line. Yeah, I agree with you. You can't just walk and say what you say you want. That's a guess.
Well, well, first of all, I want everybody to please speak up, and then you were speaking up. I'm just reiterating what George said. It's really important because I'm all for it, but at the same time, if it does nothing, we're giving them money. So we really should stop or somehow get them to answer this question, say in 30 days from now, or something. At least to give some kind of report, we have to ask them in advance like that. Unless did you mention it when you were there, and come back and ask them again, or?
Once a long you come around and see how they're doing,
Maybe, it is worth something.
That's the only thing you can.
Small study to see what we're doing.
It's going to take, 30 days?
That's up to you, whatever you guys think.
I think we should send out a letter.
That's what I was gonna suggest, yeah.
Yeah, Councilperson Walker, that's good.
Yeah, so I'm in favor of asking for a letter we sent to them to give us some kind of input at the end of the trial period and say, well, do you notice, at least to start paying attention, then if the notice is different.
When we did the trial period in August, last summer, a letter was sent out telling them that this is happening, and then there would be a follow-up from a member of council to assess the impact that that free parking would have.
At that time, period is gone.
Correct.
So really, we have to start over. Yeah. We're going to ask them how was it back in August, and it's now November.
Well, I think that's a good idea to go back, because then they'll have their books.
Well, yeah, it's done our bill.
I'm sorry,
Okay, however you want to do it, I just think it's very important for the statistics.
No, I don't think going back a couple months is a problem.
The timeline should be critical because traditionally, and I assume council is the same thing, we always facilitate free parking from November, Thanksgiving, until Christmas and 10 in the morning on. So, we're not going to, this isn't being delayed in any manner. If anything, we have even more time to work on this because of that. Well, that's a council choosing to do that.
Jane?
There's a couple things. First, when the first trial period went out, the letter didn't go out until a month later, so it was only 4 weeks of the business.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jane.
It was only 4 weeks that the businesses actually knew that trial period was going on. Secondly, Christmas is coming up, so we will have to, we're not going to do it now because we usually give away from Thanksgiving till Christmas, free parking everywhere. The other thing was, we're actually just changing the ordinance to coincide with what's happening now. We do not take it after 6 o'clock. We don't do it on Sunday. So all we're giving away is Saturdays in the lots. So if you think we're making millions of dollars just on, 9 to 6 on Saturdays in the lot, well, I don't know what kind of money we're getting from the Saturdays in the lot. So that's all that's the way this works. It's just really to fix what we're already doing.
Well, we'll have that report for the next council meeting, and that'll give us something to look at. Any other questions?
When do you think you'll have the information back to the business? What do you think the reasonable timeline? If I let it go die, I'm sorry, I'm going to respond.
What do you think?
Well, I think they should be sent out a letter stating that someone's going to be there so that they can be prepared to have those figures. I know I can't, I have to have some time to look at last year's books and this year's books and look what the difference in, revenue would be.
It's going to be next month.
Whatever you want.
We're not going to do it the next week, 2 weeks.
So the letter will state, dear Bellevue businesses, for 4 weeks in the summertime, we give you free parking, but we let you know that your business was given free parking. Was there any change in that? Is that what the letter is?
We've done the 4 Saturdays.
That's what we just say. These are the meetings, and just your information out.
Okay, Mayor?
We did not enforce for 8 weeks.
Correct.
So even though we sorted that among others, it should be able to at least, reference that time period. And it was in the paper also, so I'm sure someone thought that.
Okay, so what's the procedure? Are we going to send out a letter to the businesses asking them to give us that information?
You're not going to know.
Do you send it to all 50 businesses, or just the 16 you talked to?
Send it all, we can get them all in there, and they get it from where.
You know, go ahead.
Can we just say, for the last 8 weeks, there's been no parking fee for parking in the lot? Can you tell us if there's been any impact on your business in the last 8 weeks? If you see a lot,
Just give us a measure of the impact, maybe.
yeah. It's all real simple. I don't think they're going to do some big study. It's just, you know. But, oh no, I agree. I'm not saying that. At least they give us some input on it. That's it.
I just concentrate on 16 and we'll contact the original and keep it simple. Chances are if you send 50 out, you're probably going to get 16 back anyway, so why not just concentrate on 16 and we'll contact the original? So they'll be the letters.
Okay.
You'll kind of do 16, you went to.
Yeah, I was just, good.
And then we'll look at the financial impact to the borough. Any other questions on that ordinance? Okay. And then we'll have the first reading on the LERTA ordinance. Any questions or comments concerning that?
Just one comment, we'll have a public hearing on December 4th, our pre-council meeting, taking a look at the residents on that proposed ordinance.
Okay. And no other questions or comments? Okay, any more business? Okay, any new business?
I have three things. This concerns area veterans actually, so if you know any veterans, Lynn Heffley has organized this Friday at 9 o'clock at the elementary school. They're inviting veterans to go to a Veterans Day celebration, and that's going to be 9 o'clock this Friday. Bellevue is going to be at Bayne Park at 1 o'clock on Sunday. That's November the 11th. That is Veterans Day. And then on Monday at 1 o'clock, Assumption School is going to be welcoming veterans. It's going to be a private weekend. I'd like to thank Lynn for organizing the school. I understand it was done at the last minute, but
Okay, the 9 o'clock on Friday, will the public also be
Get up, Susan,
invited?
do public comment.
Okay, and then it will be at where? And then Bayne Park at 1 o'clock, and that will be on Sunday. Okay, and then Monday at 1 at Assumption School. Any other business? I also, do we have to make a motion concerning the Christmas parking, that we're going to have free parking from such and such a date to such and such a date? Or is that already in the ordinance?
I was going to fold that into next week's meeting, the motion, you can do it today.
No, we'll do it at the council, so we'll have the correct motion. Any other new business? Okay. Are there any visitors who wish to speak? You can step up to the podium, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address, and then you can sign the register.
Tom Cody, 600 Maryland Avenue. I just want to reiterate, I think that the ordinance that I believe Nate put together for the free parking on Saturdays really needs to be promoted and enacted. I think, Mark, I understand the questions and the questions that the mayor has about, what kind of revenue is lost in the borough, but I don't think the borough is in a position, at least in my interpretation of the position that we're in, to really be counting our pennies and nickel and diming the businesses. I think we need to do everything in our power as a borough to encourage business growth. And I think that, even further rescinding, parking meter payments would encourage that. I think that business is just going in here at the church is fantastic. We could get a ton of foot traffic out of that. Maybe a few more cafes pop up because of people coming in and out of there. I don't know what the results are going to be. but I just wanted to encourage you guys to be really aggressive with enacting this new ordinance, and just, publicly state that I agree with Jane that she's on the right track with this, keeping it free for weekends and after 6 on weekdays.
Thank you. I will mention, Tom, that after 6, we don't tag.
Right, yeah.
So it's something that's already there.
Right, exactly. So you're already just changing a lot of what you're already doing, so I would encourage you to get that right. Thanks.
Very good point, thank you. Any other visitors who wish to speak?
Chris Wagner, 132 Lincoln Avenue. Question with all the parking. With the enforcement of the parking, is it police officers that enforce it, or do we have a separate staff of meter maids, for lack of a better term, that enforces it?
Meter attendants.
Meter attendants? If we theoretically can go take this down and bring this down to having this only 5 days a week, would we be able to potentially reduce the number of meter attendants that we have employed as the borough, to potentially try to get an extra savings here, extra savings there, to try to help out some more, if we only have about 40 hours roughly of Monday through Friday coverage?
You're going to have a reduction, because, you're going to have an 8-hour reduction, because we're not going to be ticketing on Saturday, provided for those passes.
Okay, cool.
Good point. Any other visitors who wish to speak?
The meters are a hot topic today.
Because that's how I've been talking about too.
Okay, so I think back in, was it August when it started? I think I had come up here at some point and suggested that you guys do A-frames along Lincoln Avenue, or maybe at the major entrance points on Lincoln Avenue, maybe at the bottom of Balfour at the top of the Star. Because here's the thing. If the only place that is published that we have free parking is in the local paper, then the only people that you're really reaching are the people who are reading the paper. So if you have businesses that are bringing in outside people to come and spend their money in town, there's no way for them to know that the parking is free. So I'm going to suggest, not that, obviously it's just a suggestion, that you guys retry on the free parking, because A, it was for 2 months. I didn't get my letter in the mail until 1 month into it. So, many of my customers were not always coming from the tri-boroughs here, these couple boroughs. So, the A-frame signs are really cheap. You can get them printed, plastic inserts go right in, you can change them out with info about upcoming events, free parking, all of that. So I think it would be really, really good to try it again and really, really promote it, because otherwise there's really no way to gauge it whatsoever. Because I think a lot of people are still putting money in meters. They didn't know. So unless there's posters up in the parking meters and in the major traffic areas, there's really no way for anybody to know if the park's not.
Well, we're also talking about putting stickers on the meters too.
Well, that would be good. I think that should do free parking on weekends from morning till night. To promote people to come and have dinner here and go to church and have breakfast and do all of those things without having to be meters. I mean, most successful towns have free parking on weekends.
I agree that it's a really good thing for us to do.
And after 5 on weekdays.
And I also, I would hope that the businesses would place some sort of signs in their businesses to let people know as well, so they can help promote it.
Right. But I mean, honestly, the A-frame thing is super cheap and really effective.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We prosecute for theft of bags.
What's that?
We prosecute for theft of bags.
Probation first.
Mayor?
I just wanted to mention, these are all very good points. We traditionally have done it 4 Sundays to begin with, because of the church parking and everything. Our meter attendant is working part-time, I believe, to begin with, so we may not see a big reduction in time. However, that time might be used better off to maintain some of the meters also.
Okay.
So, it's not a 40-hour per se.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mark?
I really think that we should take action on getting some signs for that, because if if I don't get up to the meter to park because I don't want to park because I don't want to pay, I'm not going to see the sticker on the meter. That's free, so I'm never going to know that. So I think, what do we do to make that happen?
Well, other communities do put stickers on.
Well, yeah, I agree with the stickers for sure. Absolutely. But I'm saying in addition to that, if I'm driving through Bellevue and I don't know it's free parking, I'm more likely to not bother. If I know it's free parking, I might come over. The point is, we need to advertise it more. So how do we go about doing that in a quicker way? Rather than waiting for the committee to get some signs out. Committee to cover. And Thanksgiving's here and all that. I mean, even at Christmas time, people don't know it's free to be honest. A lot of them don't.
Shane, you have a question?
Well, we're just talking about, well, before I'm sorry, Jane, this is, I'm saying we need to get signs, and I know I can't make that action myself, but I'm saying we should, we really should do that, put them in strategic places, so whatever it takes to make that happen is what I'm suggesting.
Signs are going to need to be fixed signs, because on a Saturday, those signs are either going to blow away, taken, I mean, they have to be permanently fixed. So I would suggest erecting signs just along the telephone poles that would say free parking, having your parking hours, right, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, I'm sorry, 9 to 6, free Saturdays for Sundays. And municipal lots are free on Saturdays.
Is it worth having a banner up?
What's the cost though? I mean, we have to have time to be able to look at the cost and you just can't say, okay, well, let's do it. I mean, we have to look at a cost and get some ideas as to what kinds of signs that we're going to need.
Yeah, because even those little signs are very already, most people don't see them, but it. So what I'm asking that it get looked at, put that, for the next committee.
Thank you. Jane?
Yeah, Tuesday, we have to pass the ordinance first before we start thinking about making signs for everything. We just had a discussion about, are we even going to pass this ordinance? We got to pass the ordinance before we spend money putting in signs. But if we are going to do, like we always do for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think we should invest in some sort of banner avenue, because that's something we know we've done forever. So I think we should invest in that kind of banner, Christmas holiday, free parking from Thanksgiving to Christmas Day.
Well, I thought that's what he was talking about.
No, I thought you were talking-
No, I was, that's coming, so I say, yeah, I'm all in favor of banner too, I'd say, do it. It's a small amount to pay for some businesses to get off of it, there's no.
Isn't it like on the main avenue, isn't it after 10 o'clock though?
Correct.
Okay, so we would have to be a little more specific than, okay, free parking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
For Christmas.
Yeah, for the Christmas holiday, right?
We got two thoughts here. Christmas and what we're going to do in change.
Well, but we can't do anything
So we can
until
wait until we know the ordinance.
Yeah.
Direct the sign, direct the sign to the mayor.
Do you want to think about the
Okay, well, what do you want Doug to do? I mean, because we're talking, this is November, if you want to do something, then we have to come up with an idea, and then so Doug knows what to do.
I would ask that if we ask him to look into the cost of a banner, or how you can put another banner on top of an existing banner we have, another. They can cover those with something, temporary. Temporary read. We have banners laying around we use different times of year. So in other words, I'd like to make a motion that he looks into the cost.
I'll have something on for the council meeting next week.
Yeah, without a motion.
So done.
Thank you.
Okay, I know there was a motion, and did somebody second that motion? Okay,
We don't
Oh,
need a motion.
you don't need a motion? Okay.
I'm just bringing the info, which you vote on, if you so choose by banner at the next meeting. Mayor Council.
The solicitor mentioned to me about next day signs or something like that. There are some companies that do it fairly quick. If you can look, because we're at a time constraint here, so. So that's a very good point too. Check on what they can offer us. Okay, technically there is a motion on the floor from,
I would.
yeah, okay. Okay, very good information. And does any other visitors who wish to speak? Do we have a motion to adjourn? All those in favor say aye. Nays?